and welcome to the Pro League Hype Show with me, your host, Giles Thomas, and we're joined for the Musclecontest Island Hype Show with promoter Brian Bullman, all the way from California?
Yep, Orange County, California.
Oh, Brian. So, tell us, I mean, obviously this event has been going for many, many years. Do you want to give us a brief history of the Musclecontest Island?
So, a few years back, probably 5 or 6 years ago, Tamer and I started talking about putting on a pro show in Ireland. And I'm not sure if you know, my dad's been promoting bodybuilding back there since the late 70s.
Yep.
And, it was time to kind of bring it to the next level. We had been bringing guest posers over and what have you. Anyway, we started planning, and then next thing, there's the split between the IFBB amateur side. So we're like, well, here's our opportunity now.
Yep.
Handed to us by Jim Mannion on a silver platter. So we went in 2018 and did our first show. And it was an awesome event. Both on the pro side and the amateur side. On the pro side, actually, there was 12 pros. Out of that 12, 10 of them were at that year's Olympia.
Yep.
And then on the amateur side, I think of the guys that won their pro cards that particular year, I think maybe 3 of them made it to the Olympia.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Since then.
Wow.
And then 2019 was another great year. Samuel Haddad won that year. Dave Henry won the year before. And another slew of them made it to the Olympia too. And then out of the winners of the pro cards, Jessie Kavanagh's an Irish girl. She won the bikini pro card, first Irish pro in bikini. She made her pro debut in Italy. I think took second. Arguably could have won and gone to the Olympia, but it wasn't what happened. And then Ole Krive, who's actually in Ukraine, he's from Ukraine. He came out, won the overall bodybuilding, turned pro, flew to Brazil and did our 212 pro show in Brazil.
So Ole
won that.
Ole Krivier turned pro at your contest.
Yes.
And now he's a top 6 Olympia guy.
Correct. He's got a phenomenal physique. I just talked to him. I talked to him yesterday, actually, just checking in because, he's still in Ukraine. He was training for the Mr. Olympia, and now he's, pretty much in a fight to keep his country and keep his friends and family alive. It's
yeah, of course.
What of a who would have seen this happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us could have predicted it, but and there's some great athletes out there that are doing really well transitioning from amateur into pro, which I couldn't be prouder of them. And I have a special affinity for the Irish athletes that are turning pro, of course. But wherever they're from, I think in 2019 we had 36 different countries represented at the show.
Wow.
Which is, to me, that's just phenomenal, coming into Limerick City, which is my hometown. Mm-hmm. And it's done really well. And unfortunately with COVID, we just couldn't do the show for the last 2 years. And now we're, coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah. So can you tell us about the venue and all the
So this year it's a new venue. The venue is the University Concert Hall at the University of Limerick. Mm-hmm. It's a state-of-the-art theatre style venue with, tiered seating. The stage is your theatre stage. Sound lighting is second to none. Seats about 1,200. Mm-hmm. Out in the foyer, then there's ample room for vendors to be them. We've got quite a few sponsors this year, more than ever before, actually. And so they'll have some booths and stuff set up for the fans and the athletes to come check out the products and services and what they're doing to give back to the fitness community. Mm-hmm. It's about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes from the city centre.
Okay.
So after the show, they'll get to go out and enjoy the pubs and clubs of Limerick City and have a great time.
I've never been to Limerick. I've been to Derry. I've been to Dublin. I forget where else I've been, but I've never been to Limerick.
Okay, well you're missing out then, So you'll get to experience just a little something different when you come there. It's a town synonymous with sports. It doesn't matter what the sport is, but it's especially synonymous with strength sports and bodybuilding.
Okay.
My uncle Sean is probably one of the trailblazers for the sport of bodybuilding in Ireland. He won the Mr. Ireland 21 times.
21 times?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And, he was Ireland's first ever IFBB pro, did the Masters Olympia back when Vince Taylor was there, and Dan Youngblood,
Yep.
all that caliber of guys, and he did it the one time and then retired for a little bit, made a comeback in his 50s, and I think he took second at the World Championships, and he's in his 60s now, but he's he still comes and he runs the backstage for us at the Musclecontest, gets all the athletes ready to come out on stage, and I don't think you could be in better hands than somebody that's been around bodybuilding that long. Yeah. He makes sure all the athletes are on stage and he has them all calm and ready and focused, and he does an outstanding job of making the event memorable for them.
So how have the entries been for the amateur and obviously the pro event? Has it been encouraging?
It has. I'm getting a lot of messages from athletes from as far away as Korea.
Oh wow!
And every country in between. Athletes asking, can we write letters for visa applications and stuff like that, which is exactly what we will do, inviting them to the event, and, they can submit that to the embassy in their country to get the required visas to come as an athlete and compete at the Musclecontest International. So it's just part and parcel of what we do to help the athletes get there, and be in the running for those pro cards. So
you said there's 7 pro cards. Is that for the overall in every category?
The overall for the men's physique, classic physique and bodybuilding. And then on the women's side, it's the overall winner for bikini, figure, women's physique. And now we're adding the wellness division this year for the first time too.
Oh, so you got wellness this year now?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if competitors around the world are watching this on NPC News Online and they wanted to, the date suited their prep, how many weeks are we away now? How many?
7 weeks.
7 weeks. So they might be on a prep for a different contest in a different part of the world, and they see yours. What would you advise them?
Say that last part again.
What would you advise them if they were looking and that date suited them to compete?
Oh, I would book your flight now.
Yeah.
Get onto musclecontestinternational.com, go to the Ireland show, get your entry in. I think it's $200 and something. It's on there. I don't know what the exchange rates are at the moment, so it's on there anyway. It's the same entry fee as it is for all the pro qualifiers. There's no difference from one country to the next. But musclecontestinternational.com is the website. Once they register on there, they'll get the full email back with all the details of the event. They're also on it to see, just to answer any of the questions. Of course, the tanning and hair and makeup and all that for the athletes that require that, they'll get that information to them as well. And then anything else, if anyone has a question, all they got to do is go onto our Instagram on at Musclecontest Ireland and send us a DM, and we'll answer any specific questions that they have. A common one is what airport to fly into. A lot of people will look at Dublin because it's a little bit cheaper to fly in there than it is to fly into Shannon.
Okay.
But then you have to, the downside of that then is, you're spending that extra money either renting a car or getting the train or the bus or whatever other way it is to Limerick, which is, a couple of hours, all going well. I decided to do that myself the last time I went back there in 2019, and it was a big regret. You know, we got stuck on the motorway for a couple of hours. There was an accident there, so we were just sitting.
Oh no.
Twiddling our thumbs,
yeah.
And I was just furious that I didn't spend the extra $100 on the flight to Shannon, you know.
Yeah.
So this year I'm flying into Shannon. So
are you excited? Because obviously with the COVID situation, I mean, are you happy to have the show back? Are you excited?
It's, you know, it's both exciting and nerve-wracking again. It's like I'm starting all over again.
Yeah.
You know, kind of has that feeling. But I'm delighted to get back because there's so many athletes in Ireland that have been waiting for the event to come, whether they're competitors or fans. And, you know, I've been working non-stop for the last 2 years, getting a date for the event, and then the government telling us, oh, we're only joking, you can't hold it.
Yeah.
You can have it here on this date. And then, you know, you get ready, and then it's like, oh, no, we're still joking.
Yeah.
No event yet. So, and the last one in December, it was like, yes, you can hold your event, but anybody that comes in from out of Ireland needs to have this, this, and this. And then, you know, we might not let them leave Ireland, you know, with the COVID regulations. So I'm just like, you can't expect, you know, any athlete, amateur or professional, to risk that, you know. Imagine flying out there for a show and competing and then getting told, hey, you can't leave yet, you tested positive, and then you got your wife and kids waiting at home for you.
Yeah, not good.
You know, it's just not right. So we decided, you know what, we'll push it to the 2022, make sure that all the athletes can come, and you know, the entire world has COVID under control at the moment, and it's, you know, we can't see it coming back, to be honest.
I think it's so great that, I mean, how long have you been living over on the west coast of America? How many years now?
15 years.
Oh, I thought it was longer. Okay. Yeah. So 15 years.
16 maybe.
16, and you're still, you know, putting on good NPC and now Pro League events back in even your hometown of Limerick.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know, it's when I came out here, I was still competing when I came here, and there was they had just got the 202 division, and I figured, you know, I can hang in with those guys. I can be like 185, 190, and have like, maybe I'll beat some of the bigger guys because I've got a nice aesthetic physique. And
yeah.
Then next thing you know, they bumped it up to 212. And then, you know, I'm like, I'm not going up against these guys just to take part. You know what I mean?
Hang on. Is that the connection between you and Dave Henry? Because Dave Henry was a 2008 202 Olympia champion. Is that the connection there? That because he was in your show, the pro show was it 2018? You said.
Correct. Yeah. That's when he won.
Yeah. So.
And so Dave was the very first Olympia winner in the 202.
That's right.
And you know, to have him come and compete in my show and he won it, you know, I mean, that was super cool as well. You know, you know, Dave's physique is timeless. He looks phenomenal. You know.
Yeah.
And
still going.
And he, you know, he was still. He obviously proved himself when he came to Ireland that he could beat all these younger athletes, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, here we are 4 years later, and, you know, he's still sending me messages going, hey, I'm coming to Ireland. So the lineup will be an interesting lineup. I tend not to mention names.
Yeah, that's
other
correct.
than someone that's that's messaged me directly. Or signed their contract with the Pro League. So once they've signed that contract with the Pro League, or they've themselves have made their public announcement, and you know what these guys are like, they'll hold off and hold off and hold off, and then bam, they'll, oh, by the way, I'm coming to Ireland, you know.
Especially if it's a big name and they think, okay, I could sneak in there, get a win and a qualification. But then sometimes you get a few guys. And you'll get a Dave Henry and an Oli Kriview, and you might get a few of these guys because Samuel Haddad. I remember when he won your show. I mean, these are really big, heavy hitters in the Pro League.
Yeah, and the other side of that too, then as well is like when you have some guys that are big names and they release that they're doing the show too soon.
Yeah,
some other guys get nervous and they're like, I'm not doing that show because you know, I can't beat him. Well, one of the things that I've learned, I'm 44 years old. I've been around bodybuilding all 44 of those years. The one thing that I know is 100% in bodybuilding is that nothing is 100% in bodybuilding. Anybody can be beaten on any given day.
Yep.
You know?
It's happened.
Ronnie's got beaten. You know, while he was Mr. Olympia, he was beaten by Gunther and Jay.
Yep.
While Jay was Mr. Olympia, he was beaten by Dexter and Phil.
Yep.
You know? Phil was beaten by Sean Roden, God rest his soul, you know?
Yeah.
It's nothing is set in stone, and that's one of the things that I would love the younger bodybuilders to realize. Hey, your job is to get on stage in shape. Forget about everybody else. Get on stage in shape and leave the judges do their job.
Yeah.
And if the judges do their job and they do their job well, the person that deserves to win wins.
So we've got 212. Are you planning any pro categories else this year and maybe for the future years, just to give some...
This year, we're going to leave it at the 212.
Yeah.
But we do have plans to add to the show. So given the time frame that we were at, you know, with the way COVID was going, we couldn't really expand the show too much.
Yeah.
I did try, but getting the date of everything to line up was... I did manage to do it, but it left me with little time to get sponsors and for that part of the event.
Yeah.
You know, the expanded portion. And I don't like to half-ass anything. If you got to give something 100% or just don't do it. So next year, 2023, we're adding an expo.
Okay, fantastic. In Limerick.
In Limerick. We're going to be adding Western European Powerlifting Championships.
Wow.
A strongman event, strict curl event, and maybe a female pro event.
Any slap fighting?
I don't know. I heard Will Smith is getting ready for something, you know.
I kind of fed you that. I fed you that. I apologize.
You did.
Yeah. It sounds like it's going to be a mini Arnold next year. But I tell you what, this is your comeback year. Like you said, it's nerve-wracking because it's your first year back. You know, because I mean, even a year out it's a big step back. You know, so to get yourself back in there, it's getting the show established, making sure those new pros are coming through, fed into the pro league. You know, so it is very nerve-wracking for a promoter to be in that position, like a lot of them have been around the world. But the main thing is the show is going ahead, and it sounds, and I'm sure it's going to be a massive success. Do you want to tell us about anything like live stream or hotels? Details for anyone watching?
We typically don't live stream the shows.
Okay.
We did a little bit during COVID, and the reason that we don't live stream is you'll have some Instagram lives here and there.
Yeah.
But I find that when you do a live stream, a lot of fans will watch the live stream when they live 3 miles down the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they miss out then on the experience of being at the contest, the smell of the protein, the smell of the DPs, you know.
Oh, I can smell it now. I can smell it now.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all part and parcel of like what gets you revved up, right? Like even getting that smell back, you can taste the DP in your mouth. Now that I'm just talking about it, right?
Do you know, you give me flashbacks to when I went to my first show in 1992. It was a little show in Wales. And I remember just walking backstage and I remember just be like coughing, but I was like, I like this. This is cool. The smell of the tan and the oil and the DP and everyone's spraying Raljex and
and then you know, and I think the athletes that are on stage as well, they deserve those people to be in the seats live, watching them, feeling that energy, and
100%.
You know, if they can come out there and they do a good posing routine, the crowd love that. You know. When you see someone that poses, somebody that would have been an average poser 20 years ago is looked at as a phenomenal poser today.
Correct.
And that's one of what we did a couple of weeks ago here in California. There was a kid, I think he was like 22 or 23 years old in the classic physique. He placed like 4th or 5th or something in the class, and but posed exceptionally. And, you know, he got off stage and Tarek and I looked at each other and we're like, that kid was brilliant. Stop the show. We literally stopped the show.
What?
Ran back.
Yeah.
Got the kid from backstage, brought him up on stage, and handed him a trophy for best poser award.
Okay.
We never do that.
Wow.
We have never given a best poser
fantastic.
award at a muscle contest event.
I love it.
You know?
I love it.
So, and you think of how many events Muscle Contest puts on around the world every year. I think we're over 100 a year at the moment. You know what I mean?
100 a year. So, I heard.
It's ridiculous.
I spoke to a guy, a Brazilian media guy, yesterday, and he was saying the Muscle Contest, even in Brazil, puts on I think 40. Was it 30? Yeah. Was it 30 or 40? Something like 30 or 40 like events a year, and it's like so. Muscle Contest internationally is putting on 100. So your weekends are pretty busy then.
It's they're very busy. Tamer is actually in Brazil right now. I talked to him on Friday, and he was on a 7 or 8 hour trip from Rio to some other town.
Wow.
To promote the NPC and the IFBB.
Yeah.
You know, he's driving through the Brazilian bloody rainforest to make sure that people at the other side know about the sport of bodybuilding, you know. Yeah. And then here on the same weekend, you know, Tarek is putting the San Diego Pro together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think at one point, the last Muscle Contest Ireland, we had the show in Ireland, a show in LA, and a show in Brazil all on the same day.
Wow.
You know, so there's a lot of stuff happening, and we have the formula dialed in, you know.
Yeah. It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint for your shows, isn't it? And you know, it's
right.
It's like when you go, like I've been to a Tim Gardner shows, and you know it's going to be of a certain standard. You go to Chris Minn's show, you know it's going to be of a certain style.
You know exactly what to expect.
Yeah, quality shows. Quality shows.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the athletes deserve that.
Yep.
They've put in enough effort. The least they can get is us giving them 100% of our effort, so that when they get on stage, they feel, I am at an international bodybuilding championships. I am now competing with the NPC Worldwide. I'm going to be a pro, and if I'm not going to be a pro tonight, I'm damn well making sure it happens pretty soon. You know what I mean?
Brian,
and I think that's the message they need to have.
Yeah. Brian, I mean, I think obviously with 7 pro cars in Ireland, you're going to get a lot of countries cut. You said like over 30 countries taking part. I mean, I'm sure secretly, fingers crossed, you're hoping at least a couple of those goes to Ireland, because you know that's your hometown. You know, that's your home country.
You know, the first and foremost, whoever wins.
Yeah.
If they happen to be from Ireland, great. You know, if they happen to be our next door neighbours over in the UK, great. If they happen to be from Timbuktu, even better, right? Because who's flying in, you know, to win in Ireland? Like, Ole winning was probably one of the coolest things for me for the show, you know, because he turned up, and I had not heard of him because he was, you know, obviously an amateur at the time, and you know, competing in Europe, and we all looked over and were like, who's this guy?
He's incredible.
You know, is he a 212 pro? And everyone was like, no, he's an amateur. Even the pros were like, who the hell is this guy? You know what I mean?
Well, he's top 6 Olympia. He's top 6 Olympia now. He's incredible. He's won multiple pro shows, and I mean, he's just you know, he's a real superstar in the 212 now. Yeah,
and you know, the stuff like that just it makes all of the effort that we put into the show worth it, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, they've been doing that here in the States for a long time, Muscle Contest, that is, you know, with the USAs, you know, it's been a Muscle Contest show for, you know, I can't remember how many years now, 30 years, 40 years or something it's been going. And you think of the caliber of bodybuilder that has come through the USAs, you know, the likes of Flex Wheeler, Phil Heath won his pro card at the USAs. Tamer won his pro card at the USAs.
I remember.
You know, didn't Chris Cormier win there?
1992. No, Flex Wheeler was 92. Chris Cormier was 93.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I was waiting. I didn't want to correct you.
let me have my nerd moment.
But you know, and so bringing that kind of history into Europe, and then especially into my hometown, you know, like I was saying a while ago, the town is just steeped with history when it comes to strength sports. There's a memorial in the middle of the city of a kettlebell.
Oh, wow.
Giant kettlebell. I don't know if you've seen the picture of Tamer and I standing by there, for a man called John O'Grady, who in the early 1900s held like 15 or 16 world records for strength sports. With like, you know, I think back then it was like the kettlebell toss, and, you know, strongman was kind of still the Eugene Sandow type of era, you know.
Physical culture. That's where it all began. That's the roots.
Right. And, you know, believe it or not, with the great competition that Sandow put on back in 1907 in the Royal Albert Hall in London, where he gave out the very first Sandow trophies. Yeah. One of the guys that won one of the 3 Sandows was actually from Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think he took the 3rd place prize.
Wow.
And he went on then to hold the very first Irish bodybuilding championships.
Okay.
Back in the early 1900s. And then, you know, it kind of, you know, as it did everywhere, it kind of fizzled off, you know, towards, you know, World War One, then World War Two, and then it kind of saw a resurgence in the 40s post World War Two in the United States and in the UK with the, you know, with the Mr. America and then the Mr. Universe, you know, in the UK, and it kind of snowballed from there. It didn't really kick back in Ireland until the 70s, when the first Mr. Ireland, Tommy Dillon, won, and Tommy is from Limerick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's still around kicking, and he's, you know, he was a powerlifter and bodybuilder. And that's actually my Uncle Sean started with powerlifting, went to bodybuilding. And, you know, I've done the same, and a lot of guys did. Everybody working at the show in Limerick when you come they have a national title under their belt for bodybuilding.
Oh,
or powerlifting. And then
that's cool. That's cool.
You know,
nice
and then
touch.
There's one of my, probably my best friend, probably, I don't know, geez, since I was 4 or 5 years old, Jeff, he comes in and does the stage management for me, you know?
Yeah.
So all the athletes, he brings them on stage, makes sure that they're where they're supposed to be and that stuff. And he was actually a martial artist. When he was about 16 or 17, he fought the world #1 kickboxer who, you know, was probably 27, 28. Lost on a split decision on points for the world title fight, you know, at 17 years old.
Wow.
Just phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
Won the British Golden Gloves way back when with no training. Just the guy was gifted. So they're the caliber of people that just are there, and that energy that those types of athletes have. That I think what made the last couple of events as good as they were, and the people that were leaving didn't make the top 5 or whatever the case may be. My wife has her phone hooked up to Alexa, and she's watching TikTok by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think that's your side to go make.
Thanks, babe. You know, so it makes for a great experience, whether you win your pro card or whether you're just there.
Well, Brian. Sorry, go on, Karen.
I was going to say, I think you asked about hotels. The official hotel is the Maldron Hotel.
Okay.
And then there's a slew of other hotels right by there. Castletroy Park is actually right next to the venue. There's a wedding on that weekend, so, you know, if you want to go in and be a wedding crasher, head there. And then you have, you know, just down the street, there's the Absolute, and then the Strand Hotel. The Strand is a very nice hotel right on the river. View of the whole city, the castle, everything. It's beautiful views there. A little bit more expensive, but it's a really nice hotel. And you know, there's a slew of others there too. Good.
Well, we're booking to Shannon. We're going to fly into Shannon.
Perfect.
So we'll be there. So I can't wait, because I haven't been to an Irish show since 2006. And I had really good experience. It was a great time. And like you said, the crowds are really that's probably it's a good idea not doing a live stream, because you want everyone to be there, because they love their bodybuilding. Like you said, it's steeped in physical culture that goes back decades.
I won the nationals that year.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Okay. Fantastic.
And the year before.
Oh. Well, I think we'll just leave it there then. Brian Bowman, thank you so much for coming on the Pro League Hype Show, and we will be at your event, and we're very excited. And thank you for all the history and all the information on this incredible event, and it's so good to see you guys back. So, yeah, Brian Bowman,
we're delighted to be back.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the Pro League Hype Show.
Thanks for having us. We'll catch you soon.